My family treated me like a virus my entire life, so I turned into one. They made me sleep in the shed behind our house because I was too contaminated to share air with the real family. No heat, no insulation, just me and the spiders for 3 years. When it rained, water dripped through the roof onto my sleeping bag, but if I complained, Dad would padlock the shed from the outside and leave me in complete darkness for days. They unalived my cat when I was 14. Mittens was the only thing that loved me, so Mom took her to the vet and had her put down while I was at school. When I came home crying, she said, "Diseased things don't deserve to live in a healthy home." She made me dig the grave myself and wouldn't let me have a funeral because viruses don't get ceremonies. The final cruelty was my graduation day. They attended the ceremony but brought a sign that said, "Finally cured," and cheered when my name was called. Not because they were proud, but because they were celebrating getting rid of me. The whole auditorium stared while I walked across that stage in complete humiliation. That summer, they told me I had 1 week to find somewhere else to live, or they'd have me committed to a mental institution. They'd already called places and gotten quotes. Mom showed me the brochures and said, "This is where defective people go to rot." I was desperate and terrified, so I took a job at a medical waste disposal company. That's where I learned about antibiotic-resistant bacteria and how certain strains could live on surfaces for months, slowly weakening immune systems without being detected. But I also discovered something incredible about myself. I was naturally immune to almost everything. Years of living in that filthy shed, eating scraps, being exposed to every kind of bacteria had turned my immune system into a fortress. I never got sick while my coworkers were constantly calling out with infections. I realized I was the perfect carrier. I started collecting samples of the nastiest bacteria from the medical waste, strains that caused chronic fatigue, recurring infections, and autoimmune disorders. I cultivated them carefully and began my campaign. Their toothbrushes were first, then their pillowcases, car door handles, coffee mugs, and anything else they touched daily. I was invisible to them, so I could contaminate their entire world without them noticing. The sickness started slowly. Dad began getting constant sinus infections that antibiotic couldn't cure. Mom developed a mysterious rash that spread across her body and never fully healed. My brother Jake started having chronic stomach problems that left him weak and miserable. But the beautiful part was watching their immune systems slowly collapse over months. They went from healthy, arrogant people to constantly sick, exhausted shells of themselves. Every doctor visit led to more expensive tests and treatments that didn't work because I kept reinfecting them. Dad lost his job because he was always too sick to work reliably. Mom's social life disappeared because she looked terrible and felt worse. Jake had to drop out of college because he couldn't function. They spent their savings on medical bills, sold their house, and moved into a tiny apartment. The family that used to quarantine me from their perfect life was now quarantined from the world by their own failing health. I moved across the country and built a successful life while they slowly deteriorated. 5 years later, I heard Dad had developed an autoimmune disease. Mom was on permanent disability, and Jake was still living with them because he was too sick to work. They used to say I was a virus that infected their healthy family. I became exactly what they said I was, an invisible infection that destroyed them from the inside.